Picture this. A man in his late 40s, successful, sharp, sitting in an upscale lounge across from a stunning woman in her early 20s. He has checked every box: the career, the status, the perfect manners. Yet she's scrolling through her phone, barely acknowledging his presence. To most men, this is the ultimate nightmare. The moment they believe their hard-earned success has bought them a seat at the table, but failed to secure a place in her mind. They assume they need more wealth or a younger look to compete, but that is the fatal error. Her indifference isn't a sign of your obsolescence. It's a reaction to your over-availability. You're giving her exactly what every other man provides: unearned validation, and that's the fastest way to become invisible. What if I told you that the very thing you think will win her over is actually the psychological wall keeping her at a distance? There's a silent, hidden hierarchy governing modern attraction, one that younger women understand instinctively but men often ignore until it's too late. It isn't about how much you possess, it's about how much of your approval you're willing to withhold. I've discovered a specific behavioral shift that creates a validation vacuum, a state where her biological drive to seek approval is triggered by the one man who refuses to give it away for free. We'll decode this mechanism step by step, but you must stay until the end, because the resilience test I'll reveal later prevents this from backfiring. In the next few minutes, we're going to dive into the psychological transformation that turns your age from a source of insecurity into your most powerful weapon of magnetic fascination. You're about to discover how to stop being the provider of attention, the man who desperately tries to prove he's still relevant, and instead become the judge of her approval. This isn't just a tactical change, it's a total subversion of the modern dating hierarchy that leaves younger women wondering why their usual charms aren't working on you. As we pull back the curtain on this dynamic, I'd love to know who I'm speaking with today. Take a second to comment below and tell me which city or state across the US you're watching from. By the time we finish, you'll possess a refined lens through which to interpret her silences, her distractions, and her subtle tests, not as rejections but as invitations to lead. You'll learn to stop the fatal error of hyperreactivity, where you mirror her youthful anxiety by trying too hard to impress or agree. Instead, I'll show you how to maintain a stoic presence that creates a vacuum of validation she'll feel an uncontrollable urge to fill. This mastery of the validation vacuum ensures that she stops looking for dopamine in her smartphone and starts seeking it in your eyes. You're moving from the exhausting role of the hunter to the quiet, undeniable authority of the prize, transforming her obsession into a natural reaction to your controlled indifference. As a woman who has dedicated decades to dissecting the silent mechanics of desire, I've witnessed countless men sabotage themselves by overestimating a single smile or a brief moment of silence. Understand this. The female psyche does not operate through isolated signals. It flows in complex waves of context and emotional consistency that most men were never trained to detect or interpret properly. My perspective as a Ph.D. in evolutionary psychology, combined with my innate feminine intuition, allows me to reveal the subtle power dynamics that dictate who we truly choose to obsess over. This isn't about luck or clever lines. It's about understanding the high-stakes game of emotional scarcity. By guiding you through these patterns, I offer an unfair advantage, revealing the inner whispers women rarely admit. True social intelligence requires a radical departure from the literal world. You must stop focusing exclusively on what she does and begin to feel the timing and hidden contradictions behind each action. A young woman in her prime is constantly testing her environment for incongruence. She wants to verify that your stoic exterior truly matches your internal reality. If you react too quickly to her distance, you break the frame of authority. If you over-validate her presence, you dissolve the necessary mystery. I'll teach you to observe the repetition of micro-behaviors, the strategic pauses between words, and the intentional ambiguity of a touch. This isn't just about reading gestures. It's about developing a refined sensitivity to the energetic shifts that determine who holds the absolute leverage in an interaction. We're moving beyond the superficial advice of "be confident" into the sophisticated realm of psychological dominance. To create genuine obsession, you must understand that your silence communicates far more status than your words ever could. My fundamental role here is to interpret the silent languages of female interest that are often masked by modern digital distractions. After observing thousands of these interactions, I've realized that the men who succeed are those who treat attraction as a strategic, patient unfolding, rather than a desperate chase for approval. By aligning with these deeply rooted biological imperatives, you'll stop guessing intentions and start leading with absolute certainty. You'll begin to see the world through my eyes, where every gesture is valuable data in a larger narrative of irresistible desire that few truly understand. Many successful men fall into the performer trap the moment they sit across from a younger, attractive woman. They believe their hard-earned status, their collection of expensive watches, or their stories of corporate conquests are the keys to her interest. In reality, this peacocking broadcasts a loud, underlying insecurity, the need to prove you're still a player in a game you should already be dominating. When you lead with your resume, you're not showing power, you're auditioning for her approval. She feels this try-hard energy immediately, and it kills the mystery before the first drink is even served. You must understand that for a woman who has been pursued since puberty, your external success is just background noise. True obsession begins when you stop performing and start observing. The modern dating landscape is saturated with what I call cheap digital validation. A woman in her early 20s lives in a constant state of dopamine bombardment, receiving hundreds of likes, heart emojis, and thirsty direct messages every day. This constant stream of shallow attention has made her functionally immune to traditional forms of pursuit. When you compliment her beauty or show excessive enthusiasm, you're simply blending into the white noise of her smartphone notifications. To her, you're just another provider of attention, a commodity she can easily price and dismiss at her leisure. To break through this barrier, you must realize that your competition isn't the young guy at the gym, it's her screen. You must move beyond the visible and enter the realm of the psychological vacuum. The validation vacuum is a specific psychological state where you intentionally withhold the very thing she expects you to give, your approval. It's based on the reverse anchoring effect, where you anchor her value not to her physical beauty, but to her ability to meet your specific, unstated standards. Most men anchor themselves to her, hoping she'll like them. You must anchor her to your frame, making her wonder if she's enough for you. This creates an immediate shift in the power dynamic. While every other man is trying to be good enough for her, you're quietly evaluating whether she has anything to offer beyond her youth. This subtle shift in focus is the first step toward creating a magnetic pull that compels her to seek your validation. The most common mistake high-status men make is hyperreactivity, a physiological response to her youthful beauty. You find yourself nodding too much, laughing at jokes that aren't funny, and agreeing with her opinions just to keep the conversation flowing. This behavior is a silent admission that her presence is more valuable than your own standards. Younger women are highly perceptive. They can sense when a man is mirroring their energy out of fear of losing them. This signals that you're easily manipulated by her charms, instantly removing the prize element from your identity. To master the vacuum, you must maintain a stoic, non-reactive presence that remains unchanged regardless of her mood swings or attempts to distract you with her beauty. Strategic indifference isn't about being cold or rude. It's about being authentically unimpressed by what everyone else finds dazzling. When you treat her extraordinary beauty as a mundane fact rather than a divine gift, you trigger cognitive dissonance in her mind. She starts to think, why isn't this man reacting like the others? That question is the seed of obsession. It forces her to work harder to regain the power position she's used to holding. By maintaining a calm, slightly amused distance, you become a puzzle she feels compelled to solve. This doesn't mean you don't enjoy her company, it means you're not dependent on it. That independence is the ultimate high-status signal. By withdrawing the validation she normally receives effortlessly, you create a dopamine hunger that she can only satisfy through you. Think of it like a switch that has always been on. You're the first man to turn it off. Her brain, accustomed to constant desire, experiences a subtle withdrawal. This isn't cruelty, it's the law of scarcity. The more she has to work for your genuine attention, the more valuable it becomes. You retrain her brain to see your approval as rare, transforming the interaction into a high-stakes psychological game where she's chasing you. Imagine you're at dinner and she checks Instagram mid-meal. Instead of complaining, you lean back, sip your drink, and observe calmly. When she looks up, you say, "You seem busy tonight, let's call it early, I've got a full morning." This strategic exit flips the script. You're not angry, you're simply a man whose time is too valuable for partial attention. That sudden loss of access creates urgency. To deepen this dynamic, adopt the role of the judge, not the fan. Ask questions that test her character and thinking. If she gives a shallow answer, don't reward it. Let your reaction communicate higher standards. This accountability shift makes you the authority figure in the interaction. Digitally maintain low-frequency, high-value communication. Don't flood her with texts. Respond with purpose, or not at all. Your silence signals that your attention must be earned. When you do reply, be concise and slightly challenging, creating anticipation. When she posts or sends a provocative thirst trap, don't validate it. Use a technical pivot. Comment on lighting, framing, or something unrelated. This bypasses her usual tactics and forces deeper engagement. Eventually, she'll test you, cancel plans, go distant. This incongruity test checks your stability. Respond calmly. No problem, enjoy your night. No emotion, no chasing. This proves your independence. The final hurdle is the resilience test. When she returns, don't over-reward her. Stay consistent. Lead naturally into the next interaction without addressing her absence. This shows her that only consistent, high-value behavior earns access to your world. Understanding these patterns unlocks a level of attraction most men never reach. You stop guessing and start leading. But there's one final piece, the emotional pivot. This is when you reveal just enough of your inner world, only after she's earned it. Done correctly, it doesn't break the vacuum, it seals the obsession. Now visualize this. She checks her phone mid-conversation. Instead of reacting, you pause, lean back, and let silence take over. When she notices, you smile lightly and suggest wrapping up. That calm detachment creates immediate psychological tension. Or when she sends a suggestive photo, you ignore the bait and comment on something technical. This disrupts her expectations and sparks intrigue. This is the contrast principle. While other men react predictably, you don't. That unpredictability creates fascination. You become the one man her beauty can't control. Finally, avoid the trap of emotional literalism. Don't overinterpret every silence or message. Context matters. Strategic indifference is not rudeness, it's precision. Reward genuine effort, ignore low-value behavior, and remain grounded in reality. The ultimate truth is this. Her obsession isn't about your status. It's about the reverse anchor you create. Every other man reflects her beauty back to her. You don't. That absence creates a psychological void she feels compelled to fill. You now hold the definitive map of the validation vacuum. You understand that obsession isn't given. It's triggered by the space you create by refusing to be her mirror. But triggering it is only half the battle. The real challenge begins when she starts chasing you. To handle that intensity without losing control, you must master the maintenance protocol. I've outlined the exact steps in my next video. The final anchor, sealing her loyalty. Click the video on your screen now to complete your transformation into the prize she can't afford to lose.